And we welcome you into the Handycast for Monday, September the 9th. Thanks for making us a part of your day. Charles Hanagriff, along with former Tiger Richard Dickson. We're brought to you by Marucci Sports, founded and operated by current and former big leaguers, dedicated to quality and committed to providing athletes at every level with the tools they need to be successful. At Marucci, fielding and batting gloves for baseball and fast pitch softball, training bats and tees, baseball, softballs, helmets, bat and glove care accessories, and of course the world famous bats, wood, custom pro bats, training and souvenir bats, BB Core, USSSA, T-ball and fast pitch softball bats. Partnered with dozens of college programs, including the LSU Tigers. For more information, go to MarucciSports.com. Rich, how you doing, man?
Doing all right. Doing all right.
All right, these games, LSU wins it 44-21 against Nicholls. These games are nobody's favorite, but they do serve a purpose. They have some developmental things that you can get accomplished. What did you see any development on Saturday night?
Not as much development as I'd like to see. You know, when we talk about these games, I get them being really tough to get up for after a win. But when you lose in a good game against, like you had against USC, these are the games you want to come back and fix things and improve on what hurt you in the previous week. And I still have a lot of questions about, what struggles we had in the first week continue to show up in the second week.
When we did the post game, the rush stats were obvious. Nicholls rushed for almost 2.5 times what LSU did, and there was a big discrepancy in the pass run ratio for LSU, 39-21. And LSU only ran for about 3 yards per carry. So the idea was that LSU hadn't been as physical at the line of scrimmage as they should have been against a team that they had a big advantage over. Brian Kelly pushed back hard on that today. He said, listen, this was not us not being physical. This was a matter of we came up and looked at fronts that had 7 and 8 men where we were outnumbered, and we allow our quarterback to check out of these things, which is great. If you trust your quarterback to do that, that's fantastic. And that he's making the right reads and the right checks is also fantastic. And some of these things that get the ball out on the perimeter to a guy like an Aaron Anderson or, anybody that can move in space, that's all good. So that explains why you had the run to pass discrepancy. I accept that. But it doesn't explain, Rich, why you weren't able to run on the 21 that you did, because then you did see a look that you were comfortable running against, and they really didn't run the ball all that well against those fronts either.
No, I mean, there was a few good runs in it, but when I went back and watched it, there's a lot of guys just playing high. I mean, these guys were getting underneath them. We were getting stalemates to the line, and regardless what you want to say about it not being out physical, there were plays when you go back and watch this film that, their D-line put our guys in the backfield, put our O-line.
All right, so when we were talking in a post game, my question was why, and you talk about them playing high, that this is the run fits, not the run fits, but the run blocks haven't developed for just whatever reason you can come up with.
Man, it's been 3 years of this, and for the first 2 years, when you have a Jaden Daniels that can run, he put up 88 yards in the NFL in his rookie first game. He disguised a lot of the stuff, and these guys are elite pass blockers, and I just don't feel like they spend a lot of time or have been asked to get low and run people over. I mean, when you look at them, there's a lot of the times these guys, they have such a pass set physicality. I mean, they're always playing high, and these guys are getting underneath them. And look, I'm not saying it's every single offensive lineman on every play, but it's one or two that somebody gets underneath them and causes a stalemate.
There's a mentality to it. And listen, for how long did we did the opposites? Like, well, they run the ball too much and they're real physical, but they won't ever throw the ball. So I don't want to complain myself back into, a prehistoric offense. Okay. Yeah. I'm all for that. But when you didn't run the football really well in either one of the first 2 games, one of them against a like opponent, one of them against an FCS opponent, the question has to be asked. Kelly pushed back hard on it today. So we will be able to run the football and run people over when we need to. So, okay.
I got to see it. I mean, right now I haven't seen anything that shows me that they're going to be a dominant run team.
The other part of it was, now Kelly did, kind of cop to, hey, listen, the defensive problems we had in the first half were real. There were 2 drives for Nicholls that consumed about a quarter of football, 2 13-play drives that went for about 160 yards combined. and a lot of that was on about 60 of that was on the ground. So this was more than just Guggenheim's long run to start the second half. They ran the ball pretty consistently against LSU in the first half. Now, in the second half, after the long run, they sort of shut things down. There was 5 drives where they only allowed 85 yards total. So they got it fixed, adjusted, whatever you want to call it. But
Nicholls got tired.
Okay,
it's another point to that. I mean, these games, look, those guys are Nicholls has some athletes on the field, and when you play a first quarter close, I've seen that a million times. Those guys are ramped up, ready to go. This is their night in Tiger Stadium. They're giving 110% effort. Where you got a bunch of guys who just played USC. They're thinking they can get away with a 90, 95% effort. And okay, I'll give you that excuse for the first quarter. When it goes into the second quarter, when it goes into the third quarter, these guys are just out hustling, out playing. To me, in the later in the game, Nicholls is gassed. They've done everything they possibly can to hang around, and things did get better. And when you go back and watch it, and this is where I get even more frustrated, is because the defense played better than I thought they did. But it's always one or two people with misfits that causes these big plays.
We're going to look at it here in a minute. I think there's really a lot to what you're talking about physically, and I'll speak to mentally too. When they had the long run, Guggenheim's long run, by the way, Colin Guggenheim is a fantastic name.
Yeah.
If there's ever going to be a prince of like Norway or something, they should name him Colin Guggenheim. But he's also a really good player.
Yeah.
And he makes the long run. It's 23-21. Early in the third quarter. Nicholls is into it, man. They got it. Stadium's a little bit nervous, maybe a little bit mad would be better. LSU takes the next possession. They drive down. They get a touchdown. Nicholls gets the ball back. Very first play, they complete a ball gets stripped, LSU gets it back. 5 plays later, they're in the end zone. And you went in a span of about half a dozen plays. You went from feeling like you were in maybe 15 minutes of actual time and maybe 5 minutes of game time where you felt like you were in it, man. You had thrown a flurry at them, and then they withstood that. And then I would compare it to a boxer, like a challenger goes in there and he's giving it everything. He got the champ on the ropes. He feels like he's got him, kind of staggered. And then the champ gathers himself and hits back. And then it's like, okay, I took my best shot. I couldn't knock him out. Now that's kind of it.
No doubt. Getting that PJ Woodland stripping the ball on there and then scoring 5 plays later. That was a knockout punch for them. They could not regain the confidence and the stamina to keep going.
When it got to 37-21, then it became a matter of maybe kind of trying to get the game over with at that point. Nicholls said, look, I have a ton of respect for Tim Rebowe. We talked about that on the pre and the post game. He does a great job down there. They're going to have a really good season. They're just a little bit outmanned here. Against LSU, so I give them a lot of credit. I don't want to leave this thing without saying, look, Nicholls came to play, played their behinds off, and they took their best shot, and they're just a little bit outmanned here.
They were, from the beginning to that series in the third quarter, they were playing step for step with us, and like you said, they got knocked out on the next play, and it's hard to recover.
We're brought to you by Bayou Apparel, helping local businesses communicate their message since 2009. As one of only a few LSU local official licensees, Bayou Apparel offers the highest quality products to showcase your brand. Whether you got an established brand or a new one, Bayou Apparel design experts can help you create eye-catching designs. Carry your company's message. They do logos, event T-shirts, and custom items for your promotional items for your business. Call 225-928-9090 or go to the website at bayouapparel.com. Let's talk about some of the positives in this game. We saw a lot of young players. We saw in the backfield, we saw Kalen Durham. We saw also Juwan Johnson, who ended up scoring a touchdown in this game. We saw the 2 new offensive linemen, Tyree Adams and Paul Mugamba, kind of alternate at that left guard. On the defensive side, we saw Deshaun Spears and Kylan Jackson, both at safety. And
I come back. That's a big deal for us.
Yeah, that's not a young player, but that's a big get back. Zy Alexander coming back does 2 things. Number one, it brings what was your best cornerback from a year ago back into the frame, but it also allows Sage Ryan to move back to safety, and I think that's his better position. Brian Kelly suggested today at his press conference that move will be permanent for Sage Ryan, and I think you get better at 2 positions there with Zy coming back.
No doubt, and continue on with some of the young guys. Gabriel Relaford played really well in the game.
Gabe Relaford, I should have led with him, actually. See, he's right here first on my notes, but I wasn't looking at my notes because I'm on a camera now. I'm trying to look at the camera. Gabe Relaford was fantastic.
He played lights out. Really brought some energy to that defensive line. Another guy that's not young but new to the team is Sean Washington. He played with great leverage, great hands. He showed some things that I hadn't seen on the D-line in a little while. So there was a lot of positives. And when I go back there and watch the film, I'm like, everything looks good, and then it busts for a long run. It's always like one or two people. When you go back to the long run, the 67-yarder, that play was on Stamps, Burns, and Perkins. They just all got in the wrong gaps, and it opened up the Red Sea.
Glad you brought up Washington, because he's going to have to play a lot more. The worst thing that happened in this game by far is that Jacoby and Guillory tore his Achilles and is going to miss the rest of the season. Rich, he was LSU's best interior defensive lineman, and he's been around a long time. He's a 5-year guy. He's going to be hard to replace, and especially at a spot where LSU has a lot of uncertainty to begin with. Outside of Garrett Nussmeier, maybe nobody that's more indispensable to this team, and now they're going to have to get along without him.
Yeah, I mean, he was the guy that when the D-line gets brought up, Brian Kelly talked about him. He's our best guy. He's been our best D-lineman, and losing him early on, it was terrible. But, the good thing is Sean Washington played well. I mean, he came in there. You're going to have to start looking at some of the younger guys, Bros playing a little bit more. Finding that key piece in there is going to be very important, because look, I'm talking about that Sean Washington played good, but this was Nicholls, and when we get further down to the schedule, he's going to have to keep getting better each week.
He also brought up Dominic McKinley, and McKinley did not play in this game, which was a surprise to me when I went back and watched this thing again on Sunday. I thought, wait a minute, McKinley did. I thought he had gotten in late. He didn't. And what Kelly said today is now we may have to look at activating him. I thought activating him was an interesting word.
A very interesting way to put it, because it sounds like they'd already made up their mind we're going to redshirt. But to me, I don't like that, because I forget the rule, and I don't know what it is now, but you could play 4 of the first 6 games and still redshirt.
You can play 4 games, period.
4 games, period. And, I found that really, really interesting in activation.
Yeah, because that's exactly what it sounds like. Here's my deal on redshirting. I kind of feel like you play the season out in most cases, maybe not with a quarterback, but in most cases, play the season out. If you got to play a guy, you play a guy. And I know you got to talk to these kids about their future and everything, but the red shirt is really for the 5th year.
Yeah.
And I just don't see a whole bunch of guys in their 5th year at your school. The at your school part is important, because there was when I first started in this business, you could redshirt almost an entire freshman class and be sure that, 2/3 of those guys were going to get to their 5th year at your school. Now, there's so many things that can happen between now and a 5th year. You can do really well and go pro. You can do really poorly and transfer, or just you can do really well and transfer. All kinds of things can happen. So I don't know that you count on that. On the other hand, you don't want to put a young man in before he's ready to play. So that development that can take place between September and October, September and November, for a guy like that, I just think you play them if they're ready. And if they're not ready, you still keep them there on standby. So they're talking about activating him and getting him some reps. I would have maybe tried to put him in against Nicholls.
This would have been the time where you put those guys in. I mean, when you're early on in your freshman year, these are the games where you get your reps. You play a lot of non-conference games, or the smaller games, and once you get your 4 games, you're played out. But I'm very surprised that wasn't part of the plan, knowing that your lack of depth at D tackle.
You understand that I'm making this statement with absolutely no communication with the young man or his family at all. They may have wanted, to look at a redshirt situation. It may be in the future, but activating him was something that definitely caught my attention. What else? Bo Bordelon. They got him in New Jersey. 89. When he went in the goal line situation, they ended up throwing the football out of the formation. Kelly said that's to break tendency. I got a little chuckle out of that. I knew what he meant, but it's like, how you breaking tendency? You never done this before. But I knew what he meant when a guy like Bordelon comes in. he's an offensive lineman by trade. You put a tight end jersey on him so he can go out there and block. You expect a run play.
It was very interesting. As you'll see on the first touchdown we score, they bring him in. It's actually a 3 tight end set. We move Mason Taylor to fullback. He runs the flat route out, and you get Green on the corner route, which I thought was a very successful formation for him.
We're brought to you by Dana Brown and law offices of O.C. Brown. Trusted team of attorneys at law offices have fit all your legal needs. They have for us for many, many years. You can trust them. It's carrying on his father O.C.'s legacy. So whether you've been in a car accident or you made a mistake and broke the law offices of O.C. Brown should be your first and only call. Truly your law firm for a lifetime. The first consultation is always free. Call them at 225-343-1111. 225-343-1111 or on the web at OCBrown, OSSIEBrown.com, and by Town Square Pizza, just down the street from the law offices of O.C. Brown, newest pizzeria downtown Baton Rouge. The square pizzas are absolutely delicious. I'll make them right there in front of you, but they'll also get you back to your office in a timely manner. If you're working downtown, if you've got a limited amount of time for lunch, big, generous portions. You're probably going to bring some home. Check out Town Square Pizza in downtown Baton Rouge. All right, let's take a look at the film here. We're opening up here. For those of you audio only, we'll try to help you out here a little bit. This is the snap over the punter's head that got LSU on the scoreboard, kicked out of the back of the end zone.
What were the odds on that for the first points of the game coming via safety?
Not great, although I saw an NFL game yesterday with 2 safeties in it. Snap's just errant, goes all the way into the end zone, and there's not much you can do there that's going to be good. So kicking the ball out of the back of the end zone.
What he's taught to do.
Yeah, that's smart play for Nicholls, and it got LSU out to a 2-0 lead. The free kick, and this is exciting because Xavion Thomas has added so much to the return game, Rich.
Oh, it's night and day. I think in the post game he had 120 return yards. And he's just an exciting player. I want to see him get the ball in his hands more on offense.
Those long runs that they're running to Aaron Anderson, Thomas is a part of that package as well. And here he sets up LSU. We're looking at the end zone view here.
The going to the right, getting everybody flowing and cutting back out. Deshaun Washington misses that block right there. It could have been bigger.
So that sets up LSU in a very good field position in Nicholls territory to open up this game. And this is after LSU's first drive had not gone very well at all.
I think it was a 3 or 4 play drive.
It was a 4-play drive, and they go out, and so you didn't get anything there. This one sets you up. Your defense makes a stop. You get the special teams play, and then here we see them set up. This is the 4th down and 1 play down inside the 20. And you see that's just a power run.
And you go back to your 12 personnel right there. You get the guy we were talking about, and we talked about it last week. They get the flow. They're not asking the tight end to block much right here. You see Mason Taylor come across. He's going to bring the linebacker flowing with him that cuts the hole. Now, if Green, the older he gets and the smarter he realizes what's happening right here, if he's got to get to the next level. He blocks the wrong guy right here. This really could have been a home run play.
One of the better runs. Jackson only had
the linebacker float. Green tries to block the guy that's covering Taylor man. He's got to scrape across, get the middle linebacker, and that play probably pops for a bigger run.
You did get him the first down, though. Now we get in a goal line situation.
Right here, and this is what I like. You got Bo Bordelon playing the left tight end. You got Green playing the bottom right tight end. And look, you got a fullback. It's Mason Taylor. You still got all 3 tight ends in the game, but shows a little bit different look.
Yeah, everybody in here real tight. Do you like where this receiver is?
I'm good with where he's at right now because you're selling the run play right here. You're looking like it's going to go run. You're going to get what we called this was 246 UConn back in the day. You're going to get a flat route and a corner route, and I loved it as a tight end because I was always a corner guy.
Well, here comes the corner guy because this is going to be the first touchdown of what we hope is a lot of them for Trey Green.
I will say when I saw this live, I was like, what receiver's number 14? I was going
right.
I was like, he didn't look like the tight end.
Yeah. Well, he's going to have to grow into that a little bit as far as the blocking portion of it. But
they asked him to do it a lot in this game.
As an athlete, he's got all right. So then we get into this. So you got a 9-0 lead here. You're halfway through the first quarter. I don't know what you were thinking at this point. What I was thinking is, okay, this is going to settle in. LSU is going to get them out of, get them off the field, get another touchdown. Yeah. This will be 16-0 at the end of 1. It'll be somewhere around 30-6 at the end of the half. And
we get them into a 3-and-out the first time. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
We're going to keep scoring.
but they didn't.
happen.
And here's the beginning of the next Nicholls drive, and unfortunately, way too much of this, which is a run that got all the way up to the 35-yard line.
That's a play that PJ's got to keep coming. I mean, PJ is unblocked right there. He's sitting off the edge. He's got contained, but he's got to realize this was a front side play that we do a really well job covering all gaps right here. We push him back. He gets a backside cutoff. PJ's got to come screaming off this corner right here and make that play. And Swinson also had a problem getting inside. He lost contain by going crossing the face of the tackle.
So that's a pickup for a first down. And now you go all the way down to the next part of this drive, which is into the LSU red zone here, and that gets down inside the 5-yard line, this latest run.
And that was another just run fit problem. You know, Harold got a little too eager, went across his face, and got sealed off.
Goal line package, and they power it in.
Run fit.
That's nearly a 7-minute drive that went the length of the field.
Yeah, and you got 8 guys doing a good job, and 1 to 2 to 3 just missing it right here. You got Swinson coming off. He's got to spill that with his inside shoulder, keep his outside free, and Whit Weeks probably scrapes across because he goes in with his inside shoulder. You know, the kicker gets 2 guys. He gets Swinson and he gets 33.
Powered it right in there. All right, this is the next LSU drive. Now we're into the second quarter here, and it's a 2-point game. Nussmeier's flushed to the left side. He's going to take off. This is one of the better runs of the night.
I like to see that. You know, if you go back and watch it, though, he had 2 good open guys. He could have hit 28 in the flat, which is probably where his read takes him. But I'd really like to see him get to the backside. You got C.J. Daniels wide open on a comeback.
You tell me when to stop it here because
now.
All right.
You got 28 in the flat, which is, you know, the inside guy's getting doubled. You could leave him. You go to 28. But if you're not going to go to 28, run it about 2 more or second and a half. Come off that right here and hit CJ. CJ's wide open at the sticks. And I'm not sure.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. Daniel's here, wide open.
You came off 28 right here, and it looks like he's seeing him. I don't know why. You know, he might have hit the panic button and saw that much green grass and decided to take off.
It was the longest run of the night for LSU.
You needed it.
Yeah, Nussmeier getting into Nicholls territory right there. Now you're down first and 10.
Interesting. We keep our tight ends right here, and
let's run the play, and then we'll run it back.
Mason Taylor had a hell of a block on that one, and a great throw. Good play.
This is the one where Kyron Lacey hurdles into the end zone and ended up landing wrong and hurting himself. Let's go back and look at this formation, Rich.
Yeah, I just found it interesting that our O-line's been great at pass blocking.
All right.
This is a weird example where, we're thinking Mason Taylor's going to get out at 1st and 10, but we keep a tight end in and run the play off of it.
All right, so this is off of he's going to roll to his right. All right, let me stop it right there. This flat's covered, and here's Lacey in the intermediate.
With you got, I think it's Anderson on the other side. He's running a crossover, which he's going to carry. I mean, it's a well-designed play.
And Lacey was wide open on this thing. Does a Skeets Nehemiah. Remember Skeets Nehemiah? The hurdler back in the 80s.
Yeah,
he played for the 49ers. He was a world-class hurdler turned football player. Let's look at it again. Here's Lacey wide open. And he gets hit on the thigh.
Just spins him.
Yeah. Later, Nussmeier would get hit in roughly the same spot and
gets a dead leg. Looked pretty bad.
Explain dead leg to me.
Taking a 300-pound knee straight to the back of the thigh.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel good.
No, I don't imagine.
I took one to my calf against Florida, I believe, and it almost put me out for 2 weeks. Thank God we had a bye week because my leg was so swollen I couldn't move.
Well, we were worried, and we'll see it later on. But we were worried that Nussmeier had pulled a hamstring. That was holding the back of his leg. We're brought to you by Lake Urgent Care. 25 years of experience. Lake Urgent Care, dedicated to providing quality care close to home, treating minor illnesses and injuries for ages 3 months and up. 17 convenient locations, including Baton Rouge, Hammond, Livingston, and Ascension parishes. Plus, they offer occupational health and weight loss solutions. A seamless extension of Our Lady of the Lake. Patients can access care from anywhere with the MyChart patient portal. Our urgent care centers are open 7 days days a week. Simply walk in, check in online, and schedule a virtual care visit at lakeurgentcare.com. All right, this is the second of the 2 long drives for Nicholls. This play is into LSU territory now, playing a 2nd down and 10.
Great play by the quarterback. He finds it right in the hole. I thought Weeks was dropping to the right place. If he gets his eyes around a little bit more, he might play further to the left, but 6 got to come down a little bit harder and try to knock that ball out.
All right, let's look at it again. What are you looking at here? You took a trip to the left.
Got trips to the left. They're going to play Weeks playing in the middle zone. He gets to the right depth. You'd like to see him get his eyes on the inside receiver and see that crosser a little bit earlier.
And he goes right through.
He gets right on the backside of him. You want 6. I mean, this is how the play is designed, to get right there in that hole between the two. But you want 6 coming a little bit harder and hopefully can knock that ball out or make the tackle. You don't want to completely whiffing right there.
Also didn't get a whole lot of pressure on the quarterback.
No, I mean, I went back and looked at that because we talked about it Saturday night, and there were a lot of quick throws, and they were getting the ball out quick. It made it tough for him. Now that's a good play.
This play is the double pass. And I love the design on this, Rich, because it's to the short side of the field, which you're not expecting. And I don't know if LSU knew this guy was left-handed or not, but he's rolling actually, with forward momentum to be able to throw a left-handed pass. And I got to tell you, LSU's got this kind of covered.
Weeks read it. I mean,
yeah,
Weeks doesn't get fooled. What you want to see on this play is Zai a little bit, new to the game, hadn't played in a while. He loses track of where he's supposed to be. He's supposed to stay a little bit deeper right there, pick it up, and you'd probably had an interception.
That's the 2nd touchdown for Nicholls, and you
see it really well. But I think it comes up and it shows it from the end zone view that Zai just gets a late read on it. He's still running the run play, and he's got to realize once everybody's there, he's got people in position. He's got to kind of trail behind, and he'd have help over the top.
Really well thrown ball. All right, so that gets you to 16 to 14, and you're not really at that point thinking that they would be in this game at that stage.
No, I wasn't at all.
I mean, come on, it's not where this game is supposed to be at this stage. All right, let's look at LSU's next possession here. They're up at their 35-yard line, a 2-point game with 2:46 to go in the first half.
The freshman really saves us on this one. Cade Durham comes back and helps out. Emery gets his foot stepped on and falls down, which almost leaves the DN coming wide open free. Durham had a good little pickup right there.
I wish it was Emery, but unfortunately it's not. Emory Jones. I'm sorry.
Jones.
Okay.
So if you look at Emery right here, he goes to step back 70 steps on his foot and he falls down. In comes free.
Okay, so nice. Okay, I didn't even see that the first time. That's a nice job by freshman.
Yeah.
Well, all the time we talk about freshmen. I don't know how to pass running backs. I don't know how to pass block.
Stay in.
Yeah. Okay. Nice job. Give him a credit there. Now down LSU on the 30-yard line. 2 minutes to go. Nussmeier going downfield, and this is going to get LSU into a 1st and goal.
Anderson ran a hell of a route right there. He stems the guy inside, gets him to flip his shoulders, cuts it, smoothly to the outside, and gets wide open.
Let's look. All right.
You're going to lose track of him, but if you see the inside stem right there, he gets that guy to change his shoulders, breaks it across his face, and it's just a great route.
It's a really well thrown ball, too. So that sets up LSU inside the 2 minute. They'll really have to say timeout.
On this play right here, C.J. Daniels is getting pretty good at the rubs.
Yeah. And there is the
Juwan Johnson touchdown. And I think CJ should get credit for 2 touchdowns so far this year with the rubs he's doing.
Well, hey, listen, I'm glad you're calling them rubs and not picks. Your offensive guy. That was not the same. Was that the same play they ran against USC?
Very similar, except this way you had it from the slot receiver running it. You had the tailback running it this time.
Okay.
Same concept, same routes, just coming from different positions.
I think Juwan Johnson ought to stay on offense.
Yeah, I don't want to see him go back to defense. He looks good with the ball in his hand.
He does. He looks like I call it like good point guards in basketball. It's like the ball's an extension of their hands. He looks real comfortable out there.
He just has the speed that we're needing to see from offense right now. He moves really well.
Well, he's the leading receiver. Leading yards man in the history of Louisiana football. In his last year, okay. He played all over the place.
I saw that he scored 171 touchdowns in high school.
Sounds like a lot to me. So I get it. All right, so LSU gets the ball back, 23-14, and this is inside of a minute to go. and they're on the right about midfield when Nussmeier fires into the near sideline rather.
Thomas needs a little bit more situational awareness right there. Just get out of bounds. He's got to get out of bounds there.
Here's a field goal attempt after the runoff, and this one goes wide right. This is the one that Brian Kelly was not happy with his kicker. He explained that at the press conference today, that he was not happy that the execution of this was not what he had told him. There was going to be a runoff. He had to, and you see him, he's just wearing Ramos out because the official came over and told him something different, and Kelly had told him.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what he told him, and I thought it was funny. He's like, "Look, listen to me, not the official." You know,
Yeah,
and I won't get mad at you, but I get where he's coming from. When you go back there and watch it kind of in slow mo, Ramos has got to be ready to roll as soon as they snap that ball, and he's still kind of leaning back on his heels, and it just made that play a lot closer.
Well, and you had 3 seconds on the clock. He wanted to get off in 1.1 seconds. I think the get off ended up almost 5 seconds on the deal. So, all right, we're in the second half now, 23-14 LSU, and we're about to see the long run here by Guggenheim. So
we'll play it through, then go back. I'll show you what the bigger problems on this one.
This is a straight direct snap to Guggenheim, and he goes all the way.
I'm putting that one on Burns and Perkins. Stamps, great effort. I love his hustle down the field to come back and try to make a play, but I'm not sure what he's doing on here. You got 2 guys playing contain, you got 2 guys playing the left A gap, and nobody playing up the middle.
All right, let's here's Perkins.
Perkins was supposed to fit the gap on the right side. He gets washed across his face.
And where was
if you run it back just 15 seconds.
All right. You want to see it from the side view again? Okay.
Just so I can show you where right there you see what happened to Perkins.
All right. Let's see.
So if you hit pause.
All right.
Stamps right here, you got 35 playing the edge. He's got contained. You want to see Stamps kind of hang out, but not be fast because he's going to play the spillover. You got Perkins that's going to fit everybody. All the linemen are slanting over to your right. They're going to create a pressure right here, which is going to stalemate him. You want to see Perkins fit right here in this gap. And I really don't like the depth of Burns. Burns, he's playing close to the line, but he gets caught up in the mess right now. You end up having Burns and Perkins in the same gap. You got Stamps and Savion in the same gap, and you got no one in this wide open alley.
Burns is at 7 yards. How far should he be?
I'd probably see him at 8 to 9 right there, or if he's going to be at 7, don't come up yet. I mean, he's got to stay with depth because he's the safety of the play. They both end up on the left side of the tackle. You see, Perkins is supposed to fit right here. Burns is supposed to fit in that gap. He should have been stopped at the line. And you see Stamps, he gets washed down here. Stamps should be sitting right here. You should have 2 guys with a safety over the top.
So this is 3 different missed.
It's 3 missed assignments on this play.
That'll cost you 67 yards.
That's how you get untouched for 67.
We're going to see it again from the end zone view.
You really see it clear with Perkins on the end zone view. He starts flowing to the left, and that tackle or guard, I'm not sure which one it was, just kind of seals him off.
Right there.
Yep. And Burns is in the same gap. I don't know what the call is, but Burns is playing a little bit more over the top. He's there, and that's a 7 or 8 yard run.
This was where things got hairy. Now this is probably the best view of it. Let's go run that back from behind it, and you can kind of point out what you were pointing out before here on this run.
Right here.
Okay.
So you got Burns playing over the top. You see where Perkins is. That's his lane. You want to see him hit that guy with his hands, kind of stalemate him with his head inside, where you got Burns that can play a 2-way. Stamps, I don't know why he came. He's coming off the edge right there. You already got Savion there. Stamps should be playing back. That way you have Stamps playing right here. You got Perkins right here, and you got Burns right here. There's no way for him to go. It's still going to get 4 to 5 yards, but you got 3 guys that he's got to pick who he's going to run into.
And you see it. He cuts back, and
nobody's there.
And there he goes. This got it to a 2-point game. Just
this was
about
the
a minute.
Point of the game for me.
Yeah,
that play.
You had lots of company on that. All right, so here's the ensuing drive for LSU. We're down in the red zone now, and this is a pretty good run by Josh Williams.
The longest run.
Yeah, he gets them down inside the 10. This is about 6 minutes into the third quarter, and here's Nussmeier.
That's I think was Paul Mugamba.
Yeah.
He just had a really bad rep right here. If you go back and look at it, you get A-gap pressure. A miracle that he got the ball off. I would have liked to see him try to get to Green here for a second touchdown.
This is the left guard. Oh, wow, he whiffed on 91.
Terrible technique. Tried to lead with his head, got going forward, and the guy swam him wide open.
Freshman playing his first game.
Exactly. And then, but with Garrett, he was going to the whole way, and I don't blame him. He's a freak athlete. But if you go back and look from the side view, Green's wide open in the back of the end zone.
Oh, boy, he is. Yeah, I didn't see that either.
Watch it right here. Watch whiff.
Lacey sticks it in the front corner of the end zone. And now this play, which really I think kind of swung the game for LSU. This is P.J. Woodland with the strip and LSU with the recovery. They're up 9 points here. We're 6 minutes into the
Watch his hands coming right around here, like with all intent, punching it through. It was a great play by 11. I get nervous. Freaking Two's about to get another targeting. He leads with his head right there. Pretty close. He goes head-to-head on the play.
It's head-to-head with his own guy, right?
Well, he glances off their guy, then he gets two heads on that
right.
play.
Gotcha. We're brought to you by Dependable Storage with 8 locations across Louisiana and 1 in Gulfport, Mississippi. Check out the newest facilities in Slidell and Youngsville, matching any competitor's pricing, offering convenient online rentals and payments, free use of the moving truck for new rental move-ins, clean, secure, and conveniently located facilities. Check out the website at dependablestorage.com for locations, pricing, and rentals. All right, so LSU's going to cash this drive in here.
Before you hit play on this one, the comment that really stuck out with me today in Brian Kelly's press conference is that they had 35 to 36 run plays called in this game, but they had options with hitch routes on the outside where he could check out of it. You ended up running 21 run plays. This is the only one when I went back and watched, 100% checked out of it. And we got very, very fortunate that we didn't get this play called back on us.
All right, let's watch this here. This is from the Nicholls 28-yard line, 2nd down and 10, with LSU leading 30-21, about a little over 8 minutes to go.
Watch the offensive line. Nobody's pass blocking. Everybody's run blocking. Look where Will Campbell is.
Wow.
He's 15 yards down the field driving the DN.
Okay, so he checks out of it.
And nobody else knew it. So there was some communication problems right there. I mean, if you're going to check out of it, you got to communicate.
I didn't see this the first time either.
Nobody pass blocked. And it's probably our best run block of the day.
All right, let's see. Line of scrimmage is a 28-yard line. Campbell is at the 20. That's Taylor. Well, wait a minute. Hang on. These guys are all back by the line.
That's because that's their best run block of the day. They pancaked everybody.
Okay. Right. So Campbell Campbell's still driving his guy. I mean, he's driven him way back here.
You watch 28, he might have walked in as a touchdown on this one. I mean, it's the best run block. He's just jogging down the middle. I mean, they could have got a rushing touchdown on this one.
Okay, so they got away. Campbell gets away with a downfield block on that one. Now we come down to 2nd down and 6 from the 7. We're inside of 7 minutes to go in the third quarter now. Nussmeier going to the back corner of the end zone, and there's nice pitch and catch there. And Lacey gets his 3rd touchdown of the night.
When you go back and watch this one, it's pretty close right there. He gets the ball knocked out, and that hurt. I mean, we got somebody with that against USC. I think he was able to get enough possession with it, but I thought he kind of had a bobble, and the DB comes in. It was closer than I thought.
They gave it to him. And I think at this point, over that little flurry there from the
Nicholls is done at this point.
Yeah, it's a 16-point game. You're in the latter part of the third quarter. Now, this is mostly still. Now that's Jordan Gilbert in there. He didn't play in the first half, so because of the targeting against USC, but he was in the second half.
You still got Swinson in. You still got. I mean, there's
Perkins is still in. Weeks is still in. They're skipping forward here to the last LSU touchdown.
This is one that you run back. You know, this is just Green still being a little bit young. This should have been a walk-in, shouldn't have even been contested. He's got to get to the next level. He gets stuck on the double team, doesn't get up to the linebacker that's scraping. But he's going to figure that out because that was a well-designed play.
All right, you're gonna focus in on Trey Green here.
So Trey kind of misses it. You see it better from the side view.
All right, let's run this back here because you're right. Thomas is gonna make you miss more so.
So watch Green right here. You got Mason Taylor. They're going to double team. And they're going to work off. They got to seal this guy. Green's got to be faster and get up. He just spends a little bit too more time. Taylor's got him. He's got to really help with his hand, not his shoulder. He spent too much body in there instead of – we were always taught to feel with your hand and keep yourself wide. He gets too much body in there, and it makes the play a lot closer than it should have been.
That's something that he'll pick up.
Look, out of all the things, he was very willing to block in this game. I went back and watched it.
Wait a minute. That's you just made me very happy.
Yeah.
A tight end that is very – you're very quick to get on these guys when they don't block tight ends.
Oh, I can't stand it when they want to be. They're a guy that's too big to be or too big and too slow to be a receiver, and never really wanted to play tight end. I was very impressed with the amount of time they put him on the line with his hand down, and he was sticking his head in there. It didn't always work out for him. Didn't have great technique, but for me, it's all about the willingness to want to get in there.
Well, if he's a willing blocker, he's going to fill out that frame a little bit. He's not a real thin kid.
No, he's 6'8", so 235 looks really thin.
Yeah.
He could get to 255, 260, and then get a little bit more muscle mass. I don't think he got here till the summer. Get a full year in the weight room. I like what I see as far as his willingness.
All right. So moving forward, now you get, I would say, a South Carolina team coming up here, Rich, that we did not expect would handle Kentucky the way that they did. And Kentucky, man, that passing attack was what's the word I'm looking for? Dead. I was looking for a nicer word, but it's dead. At one point, they were down 3 scores in the second half, and they'd run the ball 3 times more than they'd thrown it, and they were still running the football because it looked like
they gave up.
It looked like the quarterback was just what was Saban's old thing, the Brook Trout look.
Yeah.
He was just wow. And Brock Vandagriff was a 5-star recruit. He went to Georgia. Listen, Georgia's had some quarterbacks that didn't work out there because there was somebody better in front of them that went somewhere else and did really well.
Yeah.
Guys like Jacob Eason and Justin Fields. I thought this might be a real resurgence for him just because, hey, you know what? I got caught behind some guys that were better than me. There's a spot open at Kentucky. Man, that was rough.
I didn't see it I didn't see it. And then when you see the coach at halftime talk about it, this is an embarrassing performance by our team. He's not liking what he's seen.
And after the game, what can you build on from this? Nothing. Wow.
You don't hear that from a head coach very often. That means that something more is going off the rails than normal.
Yeah. So for LSU, how do you feel? This is
going to be a challenge.
First conference game, 11 o'clock in the morning. Well, 12 o'clock over there, but morning start. Game day is going to be there.
Yeah. That was a little surprising to me. But
it was. I know why they're not going to Wisconsin, because if you just look at this week's games and you say, well, what's the most interesting game? I don't know that Alabama's ever been to Madison, Wisconsin, and that's an electric atmosphere at Camp Randall Stadium. Wisconsin's not as good as some of their teams in the past. They're not ranked, but I mean, they're going to be lit for Alabama, and it's still I know Alabama struggled on Saturday a little bit with South Florida, but it's still Alabama. But here's I'm going to go programmer for you for a second. You got to look at big picture. How many times are you going to have Alabama? Are you going to have them if you're game day?
Yeah.
You're going to have them in 2 weeks against Georgia?
Yeah.
Yes. Are you going to have them in a game against Oklahoma or LSU?
A lot more opportunities for Alabama to get the game day.
Yeah, and the last thing you want if you're a programmer is to have somebody say, why'd you have Alabama 5 times? And that's before you even get to a potential SEC championship game, which I know they're not favored to get to, but they could, or the playoffs. So I get why they didn't go there. If it were me, I would have gone to Oregon State if I were producing game day, because I'm not going back to Oregon State again.
Yeah.
I thought they would be and I'm not trying to poo-poo all over the fact that LSU is going to be on game day this week in Columbia, but if I were producing game day, I would have went to Corvallis. Here's why. This is a compelling storyline for Oregon State, along with Washington State, being left out of the conference realignment. Okay. This rivalry has been the last game of the year for, I'd have to go look it up, but forever. Okay. These two schools, this is a bitter rivalry. And then, so I could just do a whole game day just on that storyline alone. But now you add the fact that Oregon is a top 10 team, top 5 team, and they have looked very, very vulnerable
Mhm.
in the first 2 weeks of the season. And Oregon State, albeit not against great competition, has looked great.
Yeah.
That's where I would have been. Not Madison because of the Alabama factor. I would have been in Corvallis,
It makes a
but
lot of sense.
they didn't ask me. They never do.
They didn't
So
call you?
they didn't call me. That's what I would have done.
So it's surprising to me that the last time LSU played at South Carolina, I was playing in the game.
What do you remember about that game?
I remember that out of all the games I played on the road, that was the most electric pregame. When they start doing the whatever the white towels and they got the music going, I remember just coming out of that locker room like, this is pretty intense. I mean, it was a crazy pregame.
Columbia is a cool place to watch a game.
Yeah.
It's a cool place to watch a baseball game too. I've done baseball games over there. None of their facilities are on campus.
No, it's like at the State Fair Park or something.
The new baseball field, the old baseball field was on campus. The new baseball field that they opened same year LSU opened a new box is also off campus. But they bring it, and I'll tell you what I remember about South Carolina. This is how dedicated their fans were. They were 0-11 one year. This is before they got this was after they got in the Southeastern Conference, but before Lou Holtz got there. They went 0-11, sold out every game. This is before every game was on TV, but sold out every game. They were 0-11 and sold out every one. I mean, it was Nebraska-esque, their crowd. So it's going to be a big atmosphere. And the way that they're playing right now, or the way they played against Kentucky, because they didn't really play well against Old Dominion. They were trailing in that game with 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
They're coming off a big win for them where they're feeling like they got a lot of momentum going. LSU's coming in with still with a lot of questions. So, I mean, for them, I get like if you're looking just SEC big picture wise, this game could tell you a lot about where each team's at.
I agree. I think it's a tricky spot for LSU.
It's really tough.
There were 2 games before the season, and I said, well, those are wins for LSU. That now I'm second guessing myself. South Carolina's one, Arkansas's the other one.
That quarterback did a lot of things for Arkansas that can make any defense scary.
Frankly, they should have beaten Oklahoma State. No. They kind of gave it away at the end, but they were right there to do it. So early pregame will be on at 7 a.m. and extended postgame. So we'll see.
I'll be listening to you driving back from Mississippi.
Well, from the pregame. Yeah. You ain't leaving me for the postgame. You're going to be there. I want to thank Marucci Sports, Bayou Apparel, Dana Brown, the law offices of O.C. Brown, Town Square Pizza, as well as Our Lady of the Lake, Urgent Care Centers, and Dependable Storage. For Monday, September the 9th, has been the Handycast.
I'm glad it worked out the way I did. I thought that's what you were going to end up using because I'd made notes from just